The 5 brutal truths every woman needs to hear. Introduction. Let's get one thing clear, ladies. Self love is not always soft. It's not always bubble baths and positive affirmations whispered into mirrors. Sometimes self love is confrontation. Sometimes it's discipline. And sometimes it's walking away from the life you've tolerated in order to build the life you actually want. And that's why today I'm sharing 5 brutal truths every woman needs to hear. Not because you're broken, but because you're evolving. And because your old programming is suffocating the woman you're becoming. Some of these truths might sting and some might make you uncomfortable, but they're designed to wake you up and not break you down. These are the truths I wish I had heard sooner, before the burnout, before the breakdown, before the betrayals I called normal. And if you stay to the end, I'll share the mindset shift that completely changed the way I saw my future and stopped me from ever settling again. This video isn't about judging who you've been, it's about honoring who you're becoming. So take a deep breath, let your defenses drop, and let's begin with the first truth that changed everything for me. Truth number 1, your mood does not get to decide the outcome of your life. If you only do the things that matter when you feel like it, you will spend your life in a loop of potential, plans without follow through, of journals filled with dreams that never made it past your nervous system. And let's be honest, how many times have you known exactly what to do and still didn't do it? Not because you didn't care, but because you didn't feel like it. And that's the trap. Your brain is wired for safety and not for success. So, of course, it resists anything that looks like discomfort. Of course, it offers you a softer out, rest, wait, think about it, maybe do it tomorrow. But here's the truth, your success doesn't need your mood's permission. Actually, it needs your consistency, your alignment, your self respect. Discipline isn't toxic, it's sacred. It's how you learn to trust yourself. And no, it doesn't mean grind yourself into the ground. It means I honor myself enough to follow through, even when it's hard, and especially when it's hard. If your identity is tied to whether or not you feel in the flow, you'll always be at the mercy of your emotional weather. But your mission, it deserves a sturdier engine. And here's a mindset shift that changed everything for me. And stay with me, because this one took me years to understand. Your mood, your emotions, they are a message, not a full map. You can acknowledge it, even respect it, but you don't have to obey it. Let's use anger, for example. You can be angry, but you don't need to act out on it. There's a reason why you're angry. And when you start making moves, not in spite of your mood or emotions, but in integrity and with your values, that's when your momentum starts. Self leadership means choosing to act from your commitments, not your cravings. It means showing up for yourself the way you wish somebody else would. So the next time your brain whispers, "Oh, today," ask yourself this: am I honoring my emotions or am I outsourcing my power to them? And if this landed, don't go anywhere, because truth number 2 is the one that keeps most women stuck in relationships, careers, and identities they've long since outgrown. And the shift you're about to hear, it's uncomfortable but liberating. Shall we move on to truth number 2? Truth number 2, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you demand. And more often than not, we don't demand more because we're afraid that it won't come. And so we settle. We settle for the relationship that's not that bad, for the job that pays us just enough to keep us from leaving, for the life that looks fine on the outside but quietly chips away at our peace. And we tell ourselves stories that we're being reasonable, that we're being grateful, that wanting more would make us entitled or unrealistic. But here's the reason we settle. We think we have to earn more before we're allowed to ask for it. We think confidence is something we acquire after we succeed, when in reality, it's something we decide before. Every time you tolerate something that doesn't match your values, your nervous system adjusts. It rewires itself around just enough. And the more you do that, the more your life reflects survival and not desire. This isn't just about relationships, though. It's also about identity, because every boundary you set teaches the world how to treat you. But more importantly, it teaches you how to treat yourself. And here's the hard truth: If you're waiting to feel ready before you raise your standards, you're going to wait forever. And in that waiting, you'll quietly reinforce the belief that you're not worth more until you prove it. But standards aren't about proof, they're about permission. They're how you signal to yourself, I am done negotiating my worth. And yes, it might feel lonely at first. There's grief in walking away from almost. There's risk in saying, this isn't enough for me, especially when you don't know what's on the other side yet. But the people and opportunities that are meant for you can't find you until you clear the space that almost is taking up. So if this stirred something inside of you, keep watching, because truth number 3 reveals why your brain keeps pulling you back into comfort, even when you know you've outgrown it. And learning how to override that mechanism, that's where real power begins. Truth number 3, your brain's number one job is not your success, it's your survival. And that means it will choose familiar pain over unfamiliar possibility every single time. Even if you're miserable, it's predictable misery. And predictability feels like safety to your nervous system. And this is why we sabotage, why we ghost opportunities, and why we talk ourselves out of change with phrases like, "Oh, I'm just tired," or "it's just not the right time." But if you wait until your brain wants to change, guess what? You never will. Because change feels like risk, even when it's exactly what you need. And that's why awareness alone isn't enough. You can understand the trauma, you can name the patterns, but until you act differently, your brain's going to keep recycling that same identity. And identity is sticky. It clings to habits, to relationships, to beliefs that feel like truth, but we're really just conditioning. And here's the truth I had to sit with. Your brain, it will lie to you if it thinks it's keeping you safe. It will say, you're not ready. It will say, stay here. It's not that bad. It will say, you're asking for too much. But what it really means is, well, we don't know what happens next. And that's scary. Fear is not failure. It's data. And it's a sign that you're stepping into territory where your old self can't lead anymore. So what do? You teach your brain a new story, not by arguing with it, but by moving anyway. Every time you show up for your new self, your brain rewires, your threshold for discomfort expands, and your sense of what's possible stretches. And suddenly, the life that once felt impossible becomes your new normal. So if your fear is loud right now, it's not a stop sign, it's actually a signal. You're heading somewhere your old life never prepared you for. Stay with me, because the next truth, it's about power and how to build a life no one can take from you. Truth number 4, skills outperform money every time, because money can be lost, stolen, and wasted. Money can be tied to people or systems that don't have your best interest at heart. But skills are yours. They compound, they empower, they multiply without permission. Most of us were taught to chase outcomes like titles, followers, and paychecks. But outcomes without capability are temporary. You want stability? Learn to negotiate. You want independence? Learn selling skills. You want freedom? Learn to lead yourself, your emotions, and your calendar. Skills are the architecture behind confidence. They're how you stop begging for scraps of approval and start building tables of your own. It's not glamorous at first. Practicing when no one's watching, failing. I've done a lot of that. Stumbling through the beginning stages where you're not good yet. But that's where real power is built, in obscurity, when no one's clapping, when you keep showing up anyway. And here's the brutal truth. If you lost everything tomorrow, who would you be? What would still be yours? If your answer is I don't know, then this is your invitation. Pick one skill, master it. Not because it's trendy, but because it's yours to command. And I'm not saying money doesn't matter. I'm saying money flows where value lives, and you are the source of that value. So stop focusing on being impressive. Focus on being irreplaceable. Because the woman who knows how to adapt, communicate, think, and move, she's recession proof and she's rejection proof. She's aligned with her own power source. Keep watching, because the next truth is the one that protects everything you've built. The invisible boundary that decides how peaceful, powerful, and protected your life gets to be. Truth number 5, self-respect is your best protection. Not love, not charisma, not your ability to explain yourself better. Self-respect. Because once you respect yourself, You stop needing permission to take up space. You stop over apologizing. You stop entertaining conversations, dynamics, or people that dishonor your peace. You don't ghost them. You don't shame them. You just exit the room. And not because you think you're better, but because you finally believe you're worth more than negotiating your value one text message at a time. Here's what self respect sounds like in action. I don't chase what's confused about me. I don't argue with energy that's misaligned. I don't stay anywhere that makes me shrink. You're not cold for doing that. You're calibrated. And the more you respect yourself, the clearer your standards become. Not because you memorize boundaries off of Instagram, but because you embody them. You stop proving, you stop over explaining, and you let people misunderstand you and you move in silence. And the irony, that's when everything in your life starts upgrading quietly. You attract peace because you stop performing, and you attract real intimacy because you stopped accepting proximity as connection. Here's what I need you to hear right now. You can't be deeply respected by others until you are deeply loyal to yourself. You can't expect people to honor your worth if you're still negotiating it behind closed doors. So ask yourself, would you want someone you love to tolerate what you're tolerating? If the answer is no, then your next move is simple, but not easy. Raise the bar, even if it means you walk alone for a while, even if no one claps for you at first, and even if your voice shakes, because self respect isn't loud, it's not reactive. It's a quiet power that walks into the room and doesn't flinch. Stay with me because in the final section, I'm going to show you how to actually live these truths without burning out or becoming bitter. So you've heard the truths, and maybe some of them made you feel called out. That's okay. I had to learn these the hard way. Maybe some of them cracked something open, and that's good. That's how you know you're not sleepwalking through your life anymore. But I want to leave you with this. You are not broken. You're becoming. And there's difference. You're not behind. You're in the middle of unlearning, detaching, and realigning, the middle of losing the version of you that was built to be liked and becoming the version of you that's built to be real. And yes, that version is going to lose people. She's going to walk away from jobs, friendships, situations that once felt like safety. And she's going to be misunderstood. She might even be judged, but she'll sleep well and she'll breathe deeper and she'll stop looking outside for validation and start building her life from a place of truth and not performance. You don't owe anyone your exhaustion. You don't have to keep proving your softness by tolerating disrespect. What you owe is to yourself, to become someone you trust, to speak what's real, not just what's polite, and to create a life that feels like yours, not just one that looks acceptable to other people. That's the shift. That's the goal. Not perfection, not hustle, just full permission to live without abandoning yourself. So if this landed, if it stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Send it, you know, to the woman who you used to be. Send it to the friend who's still shrinking, or send it to your future self as proof. You're not afraid to know the truth anymore. And if you want more of this type of content, subscribe. Stay close, because this space isn't about trends. It's about truth, evolution, growth. And around here, we don't just glow up, we grow whole. If you liked this video, you might like one of these two here.